Okay, so hi, I'm going to talk about. Kit was talking about database, but in my talk, I'm going to talk about something about on front end and also a little bit about Ruby. So I'm going to talk about Living Styleguide. I'm going to describe what it is and what are the problems I have encountered in a web app, and most likely in Ruby on Rails. But this technique, you can apply it on different web platforms. What are the solutions I made to these kind of problems that I will talk to you about later on. So yeah, this talk will have a very small part of Ruby because I'm going to just discuss a gem that helped me, but this gem gives me this kind of capability to write documentation on templates and CSS. Basically, this talk is about documentation. I am Neil. You can follow me on GitHub and Twitter at nkpgardose. But if you're lazy enough, you just need to go to my website. It's neil.online. It's a shorthand for online. Yeah. So yeah, let's start. So let's discuss the problem first. For example, let's say that a team will start a new web app project, and they will be discussing okay, what's the plan for that project, and also discussing, okay, are we going to add a web front end framework for that project, or are we not going to add any framework for that? And yeah. And at the start of the development, things going smooth. It's okay, and since since the start of the project, the project is very small. You can just if you have a web front end framework, you can just check the front end documentation on Bootstrap or Foundation. It depends if you're what you're using, or if you don't chose to have front end framework, you can just developers can just go to the CSS and just check, since the CSS is kind of small since it is a new project. But many months later, the project starting to get bigger and bigger, and being a front-end developer, or just the guy that is being assigned for the UI's feature stories, this is the kind of scenario because that happened. I am currently working at a remote company, so in some of the time that in some of my time, someone will chat me hey, do you have a top bar but black one? Okay, I do have that one. Or the marketing guy will just say, hey, do you have a UI for think that blah 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 blah? Or the devs okay, do you have a code guidelines to follow? Because we don't have any documentation about that. And several days later, so you've answered all the questions that they are asking, but several days later, they will ask you again on how to work on this and that, and sometimes it's kind of repetitive tasks that you need to go on each day, and sometimes they're the same question again, for this one. They're going to hey, do you have a top bar? And that, yes, we have. Okay. So, and yeah, it's really frustrating because rather than doing the actual work, finishing a task or finishing a task at the top of the backlog, or instead someone will just distract you by asking some UI question and it ruins your flow or your momentum. So that's me. So sometimes like in each day, like almost 15 minutes or more wasted on my time just to answer that kind of questions, like UI questions, and like, yeah, it's a lot of time rather than doing the actual work. So what are the solutions? How can I create a documentation but also doing actual work or your actual task? And this is the, do you know this gem? The Living Style Guide gem. Basically, it gives you that, it easily creates living style guides, pattern, libraries, and adding markdown documentation to your, yeah, that's the definition of that. So I'm going to give an example. So I'm going to do a live coding. So we will solve this, like the questions of all of the people that chatted me. So the first one is, do we have a code guideline to follow? So let's answer that. First. Speak. Alright. And we're going. Do you see this? Do you see my screen? Is it small or is it a bit large? So to add the Living Style Guide gem, you just need to set up and add it to your gem file, of course. So first, let's go to the gem file. Let's make it larger. It's okay. So I added the Living Style Guide gem. I bundle it. And the next is, yeah, just run the right. So the next one is create an app asset style sheet, style guide. That LSG means the Living Style Guide. So let's go there. Actually added a file already, so this one. And maybe let's copy this one first. Until here. And then documentation said, like, I'm going to local assets and style guide HTML. So assets there. So let's delete this one, this one. So right now this is the the current Living Style Guide. So the next one is, I'm just going to, like, this is just a sample app. So let's go to see here.
Yung sa loob, yung one sa loob.
Thank you. So any questions so far? Wala pa naman. So right now we do have a title like My Living Style Guide. So let's check that. We already have My Living Style Guide as a title. And next we're going to add like some of the markdown documentation. So let's copy this one. Let's paste it here. Let's say, okay, this is the Living Style Guide documentation. Set of component styles from atom to organism. It's just a description of the Living Style Guide. And we have table of contents. Refreshing this one, we'll have like already the documentation. So we don't have yet the table of contents. Do we have code guidelines to follow? So we need to add like a documentation or code guidelines to follow. So I'm just going to copy this one first. Okay, so we have the link for CSS style guide. Going to copy this one. So right now, you already made a markdown documentation of your style guide, but as well, it generates this kind of page that you can give to your developers. Okay, do we have a style guide? Okay, this is the link that I'm going to give you. It's all like you can read all through to this page, and you will see all the description of how we do our style guide. So the first problem is already solved. Like, do we have a style guide? You'll just go to the link. And someone talk to you. Next is, hey, do we have like a top bar but black? It's more like a developer finds like, do we have like a component like this, and do we have like a modifier for that kind of component? So I'm just going to add again. So we have a new style guide. Let's copy this one. Oops. Maybe let's add a button. Here. And paste. Now refresh. We do have like to the top. We have a button, but we don't have yet the content of it. So I'm going to add the content. We have a button here. Well, I'm just going to like copy the button from this project into this sample app. So we have a button here. Do you still follow my thought? Okay, cool. I hope. Alright, so let's copy the button here. Where's the button? Here. And the next thing that we need to do is to import all the. Where's the here. Like I'm going to I think we already have one. We already import the CSS, and in this folder we have a button that has the LSG and also the CSS. So I'm going to add the documentation. This I already have the documentation for the button, so I'm just going to add the LSG file to this style guide HTML. So I'm going to import the Living Style Guide. Button. So this is my documentation for the button, and I already import the SCSS of the project and also the documentation of all of the folder that we have here. So refreshing this one, we already have a button link. When I click it, it should go to the button. Wait. Oh, okay, sorry. It's wrong. Okay. Where is it? Oh, sorry. Just add it below here. Fresh this one. So we already have the style guide and we already have the component that we need to developers can check out or rely on. So if they need to have okay, I want to have a button and have a red color. Clicking the button here doesn't have its style. Here. Okay. Refreshing this one. Okay, we already have the button, and if ever that the developers say, hey, do we have a button that is red? So we need to just give again the link. Hey, here's the link of the button, and you can find the button and all the modifiers of the button here in this page. So yeah. So this is the button, and just by clicking this icon, you will have something like this one. Set this here. So every time I copy this one, it already provides the template for that component. And let's check for other things. Okay, this one. Just copy and pasting it. So the developer will not ask you anymore since all the components are already there. Just need to add all of the contents. Okay, this is the button, this is the top bar of the that we have, and giving them the link. The next day it will not ask you anymore. Things like this one. And next, hey, do we need a button instead of blue? How about rainbow? So, well, it's just give him the link, or sorry. I added I created my folder structure by components. So if I have okay, I have a top bar, I need to create a folder first just to enforce the other developers. If you're going to create a component, just create another folder structure and add the CSS and also the documentation for that. So it enforced the other developers to, like, rather than Ninja committing and then pushing it to master, other developers will see all the changes here in the style sheets. And for the marketing guy, like, do we have a UI thing for that, blah blah blah, because he wants to use that kind of UI. I always follow this UI nomenclature and the description. So every component that we have, I'm always adding the description of it for the developers to understand it, as well as other people in your company. So, like, okay, the top bar. So this is a toolbar fixed at the top of the screen. It is in front of all on the content and contains something. But yeah, that's my I will always add like the UI nomenclature and then the description of it, just for everyone to, if I gave them the link, they can understand what's the responsibility of that UI for that kind of on the list. Right. So from 15 minutes or more, I just, like, if someone's asked me like, hey, do we have like this UI? Okay, just go to this. Just go to our like. Just go to our style guide link, and then all of your questions will be answered. So from 15 minutes or more to no more questions. So from 15 minutes to no more minutes at all, I can just focus on my actual work, and yeah, so I think that's it. What if I don't want to have like, I don't want Living Style Guide as my Living Style Guide gem as my Living Style Guide. So there's plenty more of like gems. You can check the style down rails, and you can check views and many more. So yeah, that's it. Any questions?
Is it automatically disabled on production?
You can just add it on the asset
Develop.
RV. If you want to make it's automatically disabled in production. But if you want to add it in your production, you can just add it you can just add the HTML on the asset RV and just add it on the reverse. Any more questions?
No question. Oops.
Okay.
Sige.
Thank you.
Isa pa.